Let's take a look at how to do half-life problems. Remember, you'll make a chart with the number of half-lives, the time, and the amount left. So how many days does it take for 16 grams of palladium-103 to decay to 8 grams? The half-life of palladium-103 is 17 days. So, number of half-lives, time, and the amount. Remember, start with 0 half-lives, 0 time, and all of your substance. So we have 16 grams decaying down to 8 grams. We start with 16 grams. Next, we have to half it until we get down to 8. Well, gee, we're already there. That took 1 half-life. The half-life, 1 half-life, is 17 days. Now what about this 103? Palladium-103 is the isotope, that is the mass number of palladium, and we can ignore it. You don't need to worry about the 103, the number after the atom. You can ignore. So, how many days does it take to get down to 8 grams? It took 17 days. Number 2, if the half-life of iodine-131 is 8.10 days, how long will it take a 50-gram sample to decay to 6.25 grams? So let's make our chart again. Number of half-lives, time, and amount. Remember, start with 0 half-lives, 0 time, and all of your substance. Let's see. The half-life, 1 half-life, is 8.10 days. And how long will it take a 50-gram sample to decay to 6.25? Okay, 50 grams is all of your sample. We have to half this until we get down to 6.25. Go ahead and do that now. Pause the video. So half of 50 is 25, half of 25 is 12 and a half, and half of 12 and a half is 6.25. Count how many half-lives that was. 0, 1, 2, 3. Now, how much time did it take? Well, 1 half-life is 8.10 days. 8.10 times 3 will give you your answer. So that's 24.3. That's how long it will take to get down to 6.25 grams, so that is our final answer. By the way, if you wanted to know how long 2 half-lives was, you would say 8.10 times 2, and you would get 16.2. Let's try another one. Number 3. What is the half-life of a 100-gram sample of nitrogen-16 that decays to 12.5 grams of nitrogen-16 in 21.6 seconds? Wow, that's fast. So we need number of half-lives, time, and amount. 0 half-lives, 0 time, all of your substance. Go ahead and fill that in. Pause the video and see what you think that would be. 100 grams sample decaying to 12.5. So 100 grams is all of it. Now, half your 100 grams until you get to 12.5. Pause the video and try that. Half of 100 is 50, half of 50 is 25, half of 25 is 12.5. Now count how many half-lives and see if you can fill in the time. Pause the video. So 0, 1, 2, 3 half-lives. And it decays down to 12.5 grams in 21.6 seconds. So is 21.6 1 half-life or all half-lives? Well, it gets down to 12.5 in 21.6. So 21.6 goes with 12.5. That is 3 half-lives. 21.6 divided by 3 gives you 7.2. That's 1 half-life. They wanted to know what is the half-life, what is 1 half-life, and that's 7.2 seconds. By the way, the scientific abbreviation for seconds is just S. You're used to putting SEC, but S is the correct scientific abbreviation. You try number 4. Start with 0 half-lives, 0 time, and all of your sample, which is 100 grams. Half that 100 grams until you get to 25. Count how many half-lives that was. Then 25 grams is left after 11,460 years. So that's the time when you're at 25 grams. So beside 25 grams, write a time of 11,460 years. Now they want the half-life. They want 1 half-life. Take 11,460 years divided by however many half-lives, and that will give you 1 half-life. Number 5, a 208-gram sample of sodium-24 decays to 13 grams of sodium-24 within 60 hours. What is the half-life? What is 1 half-life? Pause your video and figure this out. What do you start with? 0 half-life, 0 time, and all of your sample. We have a 208-gram sample. Half it until you get down to 13 grams. It'll actually take quite a few rows. I'm not sure how many exactly, so just fill it in until you get there. All right, when you have that, count how many half-lives. 1, 2, keep counting until you figure out how many. Remember to start with 0. Now, it gets down to this 13 grams within 60 hours. So beside 13 grams, however many lines down that is, write 13 hours. Take 13 hours divided by your number of half-lives, and that will give you what 1 half-life is. And that will be your answer. Use your notes to figure out number 6 through 12. I think you'll be able to find all of those answers in your notes if you'll read them carefully.